holidays from DIY Sports Cards. I'm Ramon, the founder of this channel and the owner of IconicTradingCards.com. What we're looking at today is what cards were bought in 2021. You see, you do all this work. You watch the videos. You check out the graphs. You see price trends. At the end of the day, what does all that do for you? It gives you the best entry point for buying and the best exit strategy for when you want to sell. Today I want to look at the buying. I want to show you what I bought in 2021. Not necessarily explain the why of it, but just really appreciate the outcome. Good or bad, this is what came out of it. And I want to walk you through what I bought. Let's have a look at my cards and see what was bought. Okay, so the name of the game here is to buy raw. My strategy was pretty simple. Favorite players. And probably my most favorite player of all time is Mickey Mantle. Let's see, put that there. Got the 58 All-Star. Bought the 64. Bought two of the 67s. And bought three of the 1959s. Now look at these cards. These three were bought on eBay as a lot. These two I purchased from a dealer in St. Louis. This one I bought from the Atlanta Card Show back in May. And then this one I bought from an Atlanta Card Show also back in May. All these I thought were in very, very good condition. No creases to worry about. This one probably will grade significantly lower than these two. I'm hoping these two will be somewhere between a 5 and a 6. This one will most likely be a 4. The difference between these two will probably be between somewhere a 4.5 and a 5.6. I'm curious about that one. Highest grade this will probably achieve is a 4. And I'm hopeful this one gets to a 6. I'd say higher, but the off-centering is far too off. So that's the first group of Mickey Mantles. Now in addition to these Mickey Mantles, that's not it. I also got into the 1968 collection, which I bought a lot of 3. Again, same thing. Probably see a 6 on these, which is really the target. They all have the centering issues. This card's very common. This one's probably the worst. But I have seen a card this poorly centered grade out as a 6. So that's doable. So if this is a 6, perhaps this one, assuming everything else is correct and good, should challenge a 7. We'll see. But that's something we'll be looking to do. And the last card I purchased from the Mickey Mantle collection is the 1957 Power Hitters with him and Yogi Berra. Again, the centering is really, actually this is pretty good for centering. Maybe a little top to bottom, but something that we're looking at nonetheless. Alright, moving on. The next collection of cards I have are the Johnny Bench and the Ron Say. Okay, maybe Mike Schmidt's on there too, so that's probably the player that has the value to it. Okay, looking at the next cards. George Brett's. Bought 2 of these. This is around 4th of July. Bought it on both of these on an auction on eBay on the same day. Conditions are pretty good. This one's probably a little bit more inferior. No, I lied. This one's more inferior than this one. Corner's actually pretty sharp here. This one has some edging. So I'm hoping to get a 7 on this one. This one, if I can challenge an 8, and I have a few others already encapsulated at a grade 8. This one should grade similarly. The condition of the card itself looks very similar in quality compared to those. So those two I'm hopeful to see what happens. 2 other cards. Got the 1958 Hank Aaron yellow letters and the 1957 Sandy Koufax. This one I did not buy. This one was actually a throw-in as a deal to the 58 All-Star card that I bought at the Atlanta Card Show. So when I bought that one, they gave me this one at no cost. Pretty sweet deal. And then this one I bought at a local card shop here in Atlanta. Yellow letters is really what I was interested in. The surface is really nice. And because this is a semi-short print, I think this is one that if it grades at a 6 or higher, which I think it will, that should produce some favorable profits long term. And then baseball wasn't the only thing I did in vintage. I also started dabbling in football. Now, mind you, I don't know too much about football. What I do know is there are some big names in the past, and the biggest name to me is Jim Brown, or Jimmy Brown as they refer to it on the card. So I bought 2 of these, non-rookies, but I can tell you in 2022, I am hopeful to grab the rookie card of Jim Brown in either a 5 or better. That's actually on my wish list and on my short list of purchases to make next year. But same thing, this is very badly off-centered, so probably go to SGC on this one and try to avoid that qualifier for off-centering. Actually both these will go to SGC. This one I really like, and I'm hopeful to see how it turns out. The centering is really, really nice, and it's got a pretty good appeal all across the board. So interesting to see what happens here when they grade. Okay, moving on to basketball. Now basketball, I guess there is a vintage card part of this collection, and that is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's second-year card, also known as Roger Murdoch from Airplane. He's the co-pilot in that movie. Also part of this collection, the Kobe. I like this Topps Chrome Kobe card because it's pictured him with LeBron, although I think LeBron's fouling the heck out of him. But as such, 2 legends on one card, 2 GOATs on the same card. I believe long-term, this card is going to have some value and be very iconic for the basketball card industry. We shall see. Looking at Steph Curry, got 2 of his rookie cards. This one's pretty remarkable. Bought this at a card shop in Gainesville, Florida. The centering on this is spectacular. Condition on the top is very clean, and condition on the back is clean as well. That white is actually on the case itself. But everything else looks really, really good. I'm going to be sending this one into PSA on one of the more premium service levels because I really think this one has a chance to contend with a gem mint condition. This one's I'm excited about. And in addition to that, I've got the Panini Rookie Curry, which again is in very, very good condition. I've never had luck with these. I've had a few of these graded, and I thought before that the condition would be good until these contend for a gem. But I'm not having much success with this because looking at the surface, historically I've had 3 or 4 of these graded, actually 3. I've had 3 of these graded, and they always seem to come back at a grade 8, so I'm definitely missing something. It might be a print line. I'll take a closer look at that before we submit it. So that's what we have here. Now moving into the next cards, I bought 3 of Lamella Ball. What's impressive about this guy is all the things he's done right now. He's averaging nearly 20 points a game. He has 6 rebounds, 8 assists. I think that's his stat line right now for the season. And to think he's doing this as a 20-year-old. I mean, he's not going to turn 21 until next August. So to do what he's doing and playing at the level he's playing, his career is going to be very, very promising. If the Hornets can figure out how to put a good team around him and make sure they get the pieces for him to contend for championships, Lamella Ball has the potential to be something special in the 2020s. We shall see what happens, but when I bought these cards, I didn't buy them for what he did. I bought these cards for what I think he's going to do. So this is what we're going to see. Next is the Luka Doncic card. Yeah, Luka is... Yeah, it's just Luka. You know, I think pop count in this card is about 1 billion right now. So, you know, why not put this in place? I don't expect the high watermark to exceed anything greater than, you know, $700-800 in the long term because this card is so heavily printed. But maybe in the long term, this will generate something from a standpoint of, you know, who knows, if he produces and the Mavericks know how to build a championship around him, he might show some promise with this card. We'll see. But that pop count is concerning with this card. And then the last 2 cards I have in basketball are Michael Jordan. His second-year card and his 1993-94 Fleer Ultra. This one will probably grade out a 7 high watermark. Too much off-centering. Everything else looks good enough, so I don't see any issues with the corners or the edges, but there's a if you see the tint of the coloring, it's not nearly as crisp white as I've seen with other Michael Jordans in this year. So that's why I think a 7 is probably the high watermark for here. And then this is just a cool card. Got this on a really good deal. Should grade favorably. So we'll see what happens. But that's what we have in basketball. Okay, moving on. Let's move to football. Now with football, I'm looking at quarterbacks. In the 2020s, I think there's an opportunity for a rivalry that people are going to tune in to watch. And I think it's going to be the Mahomes versus Herbert rivalry. Both are in the AFC West, so you're going to see them at least twice a year. Both are elite quarterbacks. So there will be games where you see Chargers, Chiefs playing for the AFC title game, the winner going to the Super Bowl. I think that's going to happen on multiple occasions. When you see a rivalry like that, that's one where both quarterbacks have the opportunity to provide new value for the cards, for their rookie cards in the market. So with Mahomes, I really went across the board and just bought various cards of his. So looking at his absolute, or his rookie contenders, his Panini playoff, this is the first down card numbered to 99. I bought, scoot this up a little bit. I bought his Panini Shining Armor and 2 of his base Paninis. And bought another one of his Contenders Rookie of the Year card. So you've got those. In addition to these, we also bought his rookie introductions. That's one of the Prism inserts. I bought 3 of his rookie roundups, his Absolute 2017 Absolute. I like this card a lot. Something about that red and gold. That's what the color scheme used to be for the Chiefs. I think they're more red and white now with a little black, but very, very cool card. Why buy one when I can get 3? So bought those. And then my Culture Collision purchase, I bought 2 base Donruss rated rookies and 2 base rated rookie optics. This is interesting. I saw this was being sold by 4 different dealers in Culture Collision. An interesting coincidence there was a trend when I bought these. When I went to the dealer and I saw the card sitting in their cabinet, they had owned that card for maybe 5-10 minutes before I stepped in and bought it. So they had no problem selling me the raw version of this card. And what's interesting is I got a pretty good deal. You know, they made money on it because they were able to buy it at a very substantially discounted price, but I was able to buy it favorably considering that they've only owned that card for like 10 minutes. So took advantage of an opportunity 4 times. So that's the Mahomes collection. Now his contender is Justin Herbert. Again, another one of those cards I bought a lot in. So I bought his Obsidian Volcanic, his Phoenix Rookie Memorabilia. This one is numbered to 10. Another Phoenix Rookie card. And his Panini Playoff Call to Arms. Great looking cards across the board. You know, these cards are produced sometime last year, so I don't expect too much in terms of flaws. So buying Herbert cards are relatively easy, especially when you see the pop counts, and the gem rate is really around 50%. So 1 in 2 chance to get his cards graded at a gem. I do like the odds. Now moving on to Prism, I got his Orange Disco and his Laser. This one's I bought in the raw form. I also have this in a Gem 10. Did pay a little bit of a premium for that one. This is one of those purchases from late Q1 I was telling you about that I might have overpaid. So I bought the raw version of this card much later in the year, looking to take advantage of the down market. So if this card goes to Gem, which I think is greater than 50% chance, then I'll be able to offset the cost of that premium and at least bring it down. Is it the right way of thinking? Who knows? But in my crazy mind, I thought, hey, you know what? That's a good idea. And regardless, why have one card of this? And in my mind, why have one of these when you can get 2? All right, I also got the Panini Select Field Level Justin Herbert. This one's in a bronze. And then the last 4 cards I got, I'm going to take this one out of the way, are his Optic Hollows. I got 2 of the silvers. Straighten that out for you. I got 1 of the blue and 1 of the pink. Got those. So that's pretty much the Justin Herbert collection that was bought. I do want to fill in on one more card, and really, why try to invest in the next GOAT when you can get the GOAT? Here's the Tom Brady rookie card. This is a Bowman, and I saw this again at the Atlanta Card Show back in May. The dealer that had this card probably had this for maybe 4 hours before I came by and saw it. And this is one on my short list going into 2021. So I picked it up, and quite honestly, okay, the centering is a little bit off. And if you look on the back, well, you can't really see it, but there's a tiny mark at the center of the edge. So this is probably going to be maybe an 8.5 on the high water mark. Regardless, I'm going to be sending this one into PSA along with that Curry and a few others to get graded on an expedited level. So we'll see how that turns out. Okay, moving on to baseball. Now baseball, you're going to see a pretty consistent theme in what I buy. I know you saw the rookie Bretts before. I'm always going to buy rookie Bretts. I'm always going to buy vintage of the big names. But in the modern day baseball, my approach is really towards some of the big names and the GOATs of the league. Now these aren't GOATs that you might necessarily agree with, but they're my GOATs. And these are who I think are going to be realized as very, very good players in the upcoming years. That first player is going to be the Fernando Tatis Jr. card. I've got his Kaboom and his Orange Wave rookie debut card, Topps Chrome. This card is numbered to 25. That short list of cards that we'll be sending to PSA on an expedited service, this card is going to be put into that list. And I'm thinking that this one might as well. This one's still to be determined. So in addition to him, I also have the Juan Soto Topps Chrome update, pink refractor of his pretty much most iconic card up to date. This one might also join that list. Really like these cards. Very happy with these purchases. These 3 made the top 3 purchases that were made in 2021. Going on to the next cards, I'm also another player that I believe strongly in is Wander Franco. If you saw how he performed in the latter part of the year, in the last 60, 70, 80 games, he went on a 30-plus game on-base streak, played less than half the season, and was still produced enough to be a contender for the Rookie of the Year. And he got some votes, so he definitely got some consideration for an award that he did on a part-time basis. So with this, I went heavy on his first Bowman base. I bought the Mojo Refractor of the same card. And then at a card show in Kansas City, I picked up his Leaf Metal Draft Auto card. This card's really, really cool. I mean, I don't know what to make of it, but when I saw the condition, the quality, and how neat looking that is, I had to pick it up. So Wander Franco is definitely one that I'm looking at. Between him, Soto, Fernando Tatis, and even Vlad Guerrero, I think you're looking at a very strong group of players that are going to define the 2020s in Major League Baseball. Now looking at the last cards I have, Mike Trout, he was the man in the 2010s. Got his Bowman Platinum card. And then 2 more cards I picked up. One, this Derek Jeter I also picked up along with the Wander Franco auto card. I bought it at the card show in Kansas City. This one's interesting because if you look at the history of PSA, and you'll never see this in their pop reports, this card has a considerable history of not being graded at PSA. That's why you see more cards in BGS and SGC graded than PSA. Now PSA has a pretty good pop count, but you also find a pretty good pop count of cards that they will reject due to minimum size. Now this card does measure out to be appropriate size, both dimensions, length and width. So I shouldn't have any issues with minimum size. But when I saw the condition of this card has a legitimate chance of grading out at a 9. The only flaw that's here, and you really can't see it, is this corner right there. That might be the reason that this is the reason that I think we'll put 9 as the high watermark. Anything higher for this card, PSA will have missed it. So that's my take on this card. Really looking forward to grading this. I'll probably be submitting, actually as you heard me say, I'll be submitting this to PSA. And we'll see what happens. Maybe not an expedited service, but I'm still kind of debating that right now. And the last card I picked up, and this is just one I'm interested in having fun with. I'm trying to buy a raw Ken Griffey Jr., getting it submitted for grading, and trying to have it gem out. I think I found a contender here. We'll see how it goes. This one was bought as part of a set. I pulled this card out. I was amazed at how well centered it is. Usually centering is the problem with this card. The only challenge I see is maybe it's a little bit too high from top to bottom, but left to right looks really good. And if you look on the back, centering looks also good on all 4 sides as well. Again, maybe too high, but we'll see what happens. I have a Barry Sanders top traded that has a similar type of elevation, top to bottom. That one did gem out as a 10. So my data point of comparison for the 10, or at least the justification to get a 10, is based on another card that gemmed out. And by the way, this is a scratch on the plastic, not the card itself. So looking forward to that, to see what happens. That's all I've got. Well, that's everything I bought this year. At the end of the day, I bought these cards because I wanted to have them in my collection. Will I eventually turn around and sell them on my eBay store one day? Maybe. But not right now. What I do intend to do is have all these cards encapsulated with either PSA or SGC coming up in 22. But at the end of the day, I'm very, very happy with what's in this collection. I'd like to hear what you have in your collection. I'd like to see some of the decisions you made and what you bought this year. At the end of the day, we do this because we want to. Go with what you know, but always reserve the right to get smarter. That's always been the philosophy. And I think with that philosophy going into 22, you're always going to make better decisions. You can always get better and better. Anyways, that's all I've got for you today, folks. Have a good holiday. Stay safe. Be healthy. And we'll see you real soon. Peace out. And in case you're wondering, this is Penelope. Penelope's the one that you heard in the background whimpering and whining the whole time. All she was whining about was the fact that I had a treat and she couldn't get to it. Let's give that to her now. Here you go. Here you go. There you go. Alright. Now she's happy.